Okay guys, you're welcome back. It's good to have you back one more time. Okay, so we zoom straight in and not waste time at all. So you go back to your PixelLab application and you are still in the same work. Let's continue. Now we did this for the church flyer by just fading the image of the background in, and for birthday concept 2. Now let's move on. How then do we create our own overlay? You remember the first image we brought in the overlay. If you have not forgotten, let me blind this one, then bring it back. You can see we brought in an overlay here. Let's have our overlay. Good. Then we used it to cover a portion of it. We used it to cover a portion of it. What makes up an overlay? You can see that an overlay has the base to be dark, and going up here, it fades to become clear. You understand? So how do we form our own overlay? For instance, if you don't have an overlay at all, PixelLab is designed in a way to form your own overlays. So let me teach you how to form your own overlay. Let's delete this one. Now the first step is to go to shapes. So you tap on shapes. Then 2, you go to the color for the shape. So here, then choose a gradient color, because you want a part to be one color, then it fades into nothing. So you just choose this option here. So you can see that the option is having a dark and white color. Now you select it. Now once you have this way, it is selected, then you go to erase color, rather tap on erase color. Then you see we are aimed at erasing the white so that we can get only the dark fading into nothing. So you erase. You see it has erased off a white. So you set tolerance. You understand? So you set the tolerance. Good. Now once you set the tolerance to 70, it removes all aspect of white from it. It removes all aspect of white from it. So this is a neatly formed background overlay that you can work with. So this one can be treated in your own way that you want to use it for. So that is that. You can just use it to cover the parts that you want. So that's simply how you form an overlay. You can change the color to what you want. You can just change the color to red, to brown, to whatever, depending on your work you are doing. So in the same way, you can just bring in your text. Then good, you form the church flyer. Let's move on to the next concept of forming background. Now the next concept is blending an image to the background and erasing a part of it. Sometimes when you blend an image to the background, it is necessary that you erase a certain portion of it to make sure it adapts perfectly with the background. So let's see in this case. You can see from here that we are doing a design for beginning the week with Jesus. It's about prayer. And so since the church concept, we need to bring a congregation here who sounds along the theme for the flyer. So they are also in the mood of prayer. Now we have, since it is beginning, because it's a journey, we need to bring some road here. It is all creative concepts. So how then do we do it? You download an image of a road, then you blend it to the surface and erase the parts that you don't want. In the same case, you add this photo and you erase the parts that you don't want. You understand? So I would guide you how to use PixelLab for that and how to use PixArt for that. But take note, PixArt will do it perfectly. And so I'll rush through the PixelLab own, but take time with the PixArt own. So let's go through here. Now, let's close the others. Then let's bring in our image. Have one image here. Where is this image? Okay. So this image. Now the first thing is to get a background that syncs along the image. So you just go to the background, pick a color from the image here. Let's pick from this lady's color. Okay, so that is it. Now how then do we erase? We want to place it at this place, so we want to erase a portion of it. Good. So you go to eraser, you go to, it is selected here, then you go to eraser by selecting on the image button, the 2 button. You go to, since it is selected, tap here, then you go to its eraser tool. So you go to eraser. Now you erase the portion you don't want. Now let me explain this. I've explained this already though, but let me take you through again. Now this one sets the distance between your eraser button and your hand. So as you increase it, you can see that when you touch it and the eraser comes, there is a wide space between your button, your hand rather, and the eraser button. So when you reduce, you see it is getting closer to it. So sometimes you space it a little bit, so you need to increase this to 100. Then you increase the size of the eraser button here. Then you increase the hardness. Take note, let me teach this. Once the hardness is at 0, whenever you erase, the edge is clear. You see the edge is forming a line, like the edge is visible. The edge is visible, as you can see there. Now when you increase the hardness to 100 and you start to erase, let's bring it down, and you start to erase, you can see that your erase don't have a visible outer mark. The mark is no more visible. At the outer part, the mark is no more visible. You understand? It is like a faded attribute, like that. It is fading, not rather a visible line. So that is how you do it. Let's go to undo. Let's reduce it here. Now whenever you touch a plus sign and you treat it zooming in and zooming out, you can't work on it unless you retouch the plus sign to remove the aspect of zoom off before you can start working on it. Take note. So you just increase all these things, then you start. Where do you want to erase from? If you want to erase, just touch at the place you want to start to erase from before you hold the button. Good. So let's now erase here. You erase it professionally. Take note. I think this is good here. Good. I think this is okay. Place it there. It depends on how you want it. You can expect it to be like this, for instance. Yeah. This is the first way. You understand? You can decide to reduce its opacity to tone along with the background. You can decide to leave it like that. It depends on you as a graphic designer how you expect it. Now let's say we go to the eraser and we don't want it this way. We want it to be like this. Maybe you want it like this. You want to show them, or you want it like this, maybe something like this. Something like this. It all depends on you, the graphic designer. Now at this level, you can just tone it down. You can see it adapting with the surface. From here, you can begin your work and add text and add everything, and becomes a nice work you are doing. Now let me guide you through how you can use PixelLab to do it. The first thing to do as a graphic designer is, I've taught you that normally PixelLab is not so good in forming gradient colors and all that. So you can, if you want to use a gradient color, you use the PixelLab to form your gradient color. First, set your color at the PixelLab. Once you set it at the PixelLab, if you want to use gradient color, you can just use any gradient color at all. You can use this. You can use any color at all you want to use. It depends on you as the graphic designer. So you choose any color. You can create your own gradient colors and all that. I've taught you that. So let's say we want this color. Once you select the color, you now want to erase and blend the image with it. So what do you then do? You share it with PixelLab. You tap on share here, share. Then you choose on image quality you want to use. So you just set it. Should it be default or should it be high quality? As after you going down, the quality will be increasing. So let's say ultra. Then you want to save it as either JPEG or PNG. Anything goes. So you go to share. Now once you go to the share, then you tap on PixArt. See, now it will be shown on the workspace of PixArt. So what then do you want to do? You want to add an image and blur it with the surface. So you go to image, add photo. Then you choose the photo you want to add. So let's go to the same place and select the same image. So you go here, then you select your photo. Once you have it here. Now, the technique we are going to employ in PixArt is blend before erase. You see, PixelLab will just give you the chance to erase. But one master tool that PixArt uses that is giving it more vibrancy in the aspect of blending. It's tool called blend. So the first thing is when you want to blend an image to the side, you go to blend, tap on blend. When you tap on blend, where do you want to blend it? You want to blend it with the screen. You understand? So it tones along the screen. You want to blend it multiple. This one changes it in a way. This one changes. So all of these options are there for you to explore. So you can choose any. But most of the times the one that fits work is the overlay, the multiple, and the screen. So let's see the multiple. I think the multiple is good, but the screen too is not bad. The normal is also not bad. So it depends on you. If you want it to be visible enough, you set it. If you don't want it that way, you can set it. So let's maybe choose the multiple and see. So once you set the blend like that, then you go to erase. Erase. How do you erase? You go to erase here. Then you tell yourself which portion do you want to clear. Then you tap on eraser here again. Now the options will come. If you want to increase the size of your eraser, you can treat it here. Now if you want to, you remember hardness in PixelLab. We have seen the hardness again. But the way this hardness works is directly opposite to how hardness works in PixelLab. You remember PixelLab, if you want it to be smooth, we increase it to 100. But for PixArt, you will need to reduce it. So you can see, once the circle is visible here, it means the hardness will create a line. But once it is faded in, meaning it will create a smooth blend. So you reduce it to 0. Now you can also alterate the opacity. The opacity says that as you erase, it shouldn't be cleared so much. So let's have the opacity there. Then you tap on this. You can start erasing, but we want to give ourselves more area for the erasing. So you tap on it to pull in the buttons, and you start your eraser from the edges. So you want to clear off the edges, so you can erase it perfectly here. So I think this is giving it a nice blend. I think this is okay. I think this is okay. Now once you are done, you tap on the check mark, then you now work on how it should be placed. I think this is giving us a neat work. This is giving us a neat work. So if you don't want it this way, you can now go back to other options. You can go to opacity, then you reduce its nature so that it blends well with the surface. You understand? You can increase it, you can reduce it. Now you can also, if you don't want the nature it was blended, you can now go to the blend again and then switch it to the screen and see. Take the normal version. Let's see the normal. Let's reduce the opacity and see. This is also not bad. You understand? So as a graphic designer, you should interact with the tools to create the best one you want. So let's take the multiple again. Now once you are done, you tap on the check mark and save it. Once it is saved, I remember I told you that it is saved in your PixelLab images. So you go to PixelLab images. You understand? Now this should tell you I created this background from here. You understand? It is the same concept I used to create this background, to create this design. So you can see that from the back, it is the same thing I do. I'm not teaching you what I'm not doing. I'm teaching what I use. So looking at this, I used the same PixelLab to do this. It was the same PixelLab I used to create this one, to create some design. It was the same PixelLab I used to create this design. So interact with them and use the blend perfectly. Now let's move on. Good. Now you can just copy the image into your PixelLab and carry on with your work. The last part we want to talk of is fading in text or signature to form background. So you can see from this birthday flyer that behind the image we have a signature there. It is the name that we made as signature. We placed it behind there. You can also see it at the lower part here. So that is also a way of forming backgrounds. Now, do I have another technique? Okay, good. This is it. This is what I found for the purpose of this video. So you can see it's a birthday flyer having behind it birthday written. Then it is faded into the background. Now you can have signature here, signed and varied in sizes and rotation, and also in position. You can see it being here and there. Now that is that. So that is also another way of forming backgrounds. Okay, so let's move into how to form it. So you go to PixelLab, then you start a new. Okay, so you delete the text. Now you tell yourself which background color you want to use. Let's say you want to use this color. Now what are you doing? Let's say you are doing it's about birthday. Let's use the same concept. If it is birthday, fine. If it's not birthday, let's say happy new month. Happy new month. So you can just bring in month. Then you are good to go. You can, if it is happy birthday, you can birthday. So how then is it done? Let's use the same birthday concept. So you add your text. Then you type in birthday. Should be capitalized. Now you choose a font. In this font I used Bebas. You can type in font and search. That's when you are familiar with it. So Bebas. Now you increase it a little bit. You can see the spacing is too much, so you go and treat the spacing. Note that it is on text. You go to spacing. You want to close the letter spacing, so you just reduce the letter spacing. I think this is okay. Now once you have it this way, you can duplicate it. But I want to put it at the direct center. And I've told you, placing text this way requires alignment. Now let me remind you of something. You can see that right behind here, where the Y is like a part of it is covered up. And so what you do is, you remember it is by padding. So you go to padding and you create a space so that it exposes fully. Now let's align the work. I've told you alignment is done with your ruler tool. So this is your ruler button. Take note, ruler button. Then to guide you with your alignment, you set the magnet. So you tap it. Now once you tap it, it means that it should guide you to position your text properly. So once you move it, you can see that it will automatically just place it at where it is supposed to be. Okay, so you duplicate it here by copying. Now you bring it the same way to guide you. Duplicate it. So you can see that it is now center aligned, and even the right align tool is working perfectly. So that makes you a correct designer. Don't design things anyhow. Now you make sure the spacing is also either equal or near equal. So I think this is good. Birthday. Now you remove it. You can decide to combine the whole thing then you operate on them. So let's try and merge them. Good. Now if they are merged, you can decide to rotate them. You can decide to rotate them this way. You can decide to leave them in the center. Then you blend them. After the blending them requires that you alter their opacity. Good. You can also decide to tone it with the same color. So you can pick the same color and then you work on it. You understand? You make sure it contrasts it. Okay. So we are copying from the same color. It is nothing new. I've taught you that. Good. So you just reduce the opacity a bit. Now it is blending with the screen. 30 is okay. You can decide to place it this way. Good. You can decide to increase it. You can decide to place it here, duplicate it, and then place it here. You understand? Like as a graphic designer, you need to make sure you create, make sure you think as a graphic designer, make sure new things come on board, come in mind. Bring something new, something that no one would do. Like do it. You can just reduce this opacity the more. You can reduce this opacity the more. Like that's what makes you a graphic designer. This is a concept of contrast that we are creating here. So let's bring it back. Okay, good. Now let's have it this way. Now, how do you then add a signature? Let's lock this one so that it will not be affected. Let's move on to how to add a signature. Now, I'm teaching you two ways of adding a signature. It is by using the name as a signature or the draw tool. So let me start with the draw tool. So you tap on the same shape button and instead of shape, you go to draw. Now, this is the settings for the draw. Now, the draw can be done, let me write something here. Good. Now, you can treat the size of the pencil or the pen. You understand? Good. You can treat the color. Now, you can treat the smoothness. Let me make it big so that you learn from the smoothness. If you do this, if you reduce the smoothness, it's like the edges will not be that fine and even the turning point will not be that fine. But when you increase the smoothness, it becomes fine. Let's go back. Now these buttons can be used to erase. You can tap on the erase to clear it. You can tap on undo here. It goes step by step undo, but this one does the whole thing and repeats them from the scratch. Good. So let's work on the smoothness and see. It's on the eraser, so let's go back by selecting it and it comes back. So that's how it works. So let's reduce this one, then let's maintain the smoothness. You can use short dashes to create it. You can use a neon effect. Understand? So the neon makes the surrounding a little bit blurred. Good. So as we go further, we will know how to best use the neon. So the neon's radius can be altered here. You can see the difference between the first created and the last one. Now let's move on. It's not neon we are creating. We are creating just a mark. So we start and just set any sign at all. So how then do we draw? So you just set a signature for yourself. You have a neatly. Oh, this is too bad. Good. So this is okay. Now once you like it this way, you just add it. You treat the size. You can place it here. You just duplicate it. You can see the edges are not so good. So remember, just duplicate. This new one is okay. Then you clear the old one. Now you just put it somewhere here. You can just rotate it. Work on this size. Put it somewhere here. Now as a graphic designer, just create something new. Now this is good. You can reduce its opacity. Interact with the tools. Create something new. Okay, so once you have it this way, you can just bring in your image. You can bring in your image. And then there you go. Crop it. Good. There you go. If your image is not so good, I thought you just duplicate it. This is a secret I'm teaching you, so make sure you watch the video thoroughly and make use of it. You will let people see what you have behind there. Good. That is a nice birthday flyer, but in disguise. You find time and do it properly. But I'm teaching you how to create backgrounds. Take note. And so that is that. That is simply that. Now, what do we do again? I've told you there's another way of forming the signature by using the name. So if this girl is, like, let's say happy birthday, Clara. You add a text, go to text, type in Clara. Let's say Clara. So you can use your own name, it can be any other name. Please let me use a familiar name. Blessing. So let's say Blessing. You understand? So once you bring in the Blessing, you go to font, then you choose a script font, but it should be in a signature or autograph. So this is okay. You can choose this. Okay, this one. I gave you a lot of script fonts, but I use this one, the autograph, for personal use. Now you use it. Now this is what to do. You can reduce the size to here. You duplicate it. Then you vary the size. That is how we create contrast. And as you put it randomly, you can see this part, the Blessing is falling over the hand. It is on top of the image. It's okay. You are varying the style. That makes you a great graphic designer. So you can just make this one big. You can hide a part. So anyone who sees this will know it's Blessing. You understand? So you vary them. As a graphic designer, you vary them. You can decide to even rotate it this way and rotate that way. That will create some sense of rhythm. You understand? Interact with the tools. Don't let anyone teach you this. Okay, so that is that. This is a simple way of creating backgrounds. Okay, my people, let's end this video here because of the length. I think these are ways that we can create background. Let's interact with them. Forming background, a single color with a gradient, with texture, with patterns, with simple blur effect, with fading in an image using opacity, using overlay, erasing a part of it using PixelLab, using PixArt, and also fading in text and signature, which we just concluded with. Okay, guys, so I think you are blessed with this session. Learn from it and let me see it showing in some of your designs. Okay, so have a nice day and catch you up in our subsequent videos. Bye bye.